Good morning, grade 6. Welcome back to grade 6 mathematics class. Let's start a new chapter today. We'll start chapter 7, decimals today. So in the previous chapter, we have been learning about fractions. So what is a fraction? A fraction represents parts of a whole. So decimals is another way to represent a whole number and parts of a whole together. So what is a decimal? A decimal number is used to express a whole number and a fraction together. And in a decimal number, the whole number part will be separated from the fractional or the decimal part with a dot, and it is called the decimal point. Here you can see a couple of decimal numbers. So here is another example. See this decimal number, it has a whole number part which is the digit 5, and there is a dot, and here we have the fractional or the decimal part. You can see the whole number part is separated from the decimal or the fractional part with this dot. Now, how do we read and write the number names of decimal numbers? So to read a number, we need to know the place values. We read numbers based on the place value of digits in a number. So what about the place value of digits in a decimal number? See, in the case of a decimal number, the place value for the whole number part is the same place value system as in the case of whole numbers. But beyond the decimal point, the place values will be like 1/10 or 1/10, hundreds, that is 1/100, thousands, that is 1/thousands, and so on. So to the left of the decimal point, that is in the whole number part, the places will be like ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and so on. Every time you are moving to the left, the place value increases by 10 times, or it gets multiplied by 10. But after the decimal point or towards the right of the decimal point, the place value changes by 1/10 every time you are moving to the right. So is this clear? So now let's see how we can read this decimal number. You see the number here? See, it has got a whole number part, a decimal point, and a fractional or decimal part. Now let's see the place value of each of the digits in this decimal number. So in the whole number part, the places are ones and tens. So what is the place value of this digit 5 here? It is in the ones place, so its place value is 5 ones. And the place value of 2 is 2 tens because it is in the tens place. Now, after the decimal point, the places are like 1/10s, 100s, and 1000s, and so on. So, the place value of this one here is 1/110 or 1/10. That is, it is equal to 1 time 1/10. Now, what about the place value of this 7? The place value of this 7 here is 7 times 100. And what about the place value of this 5? The place value of this 5 here is 5 times 1000. So this is about the place value of the digits in this number. Now that we know the place value of the digits in this number, let's see how we can read this decimal number. So there are two ways to read a decimal number. The first method is to just read the whole number part followed by the word point to indicate this dot, and then you have to read the digits after the decimal point separately. So you can read this like 25.175. So that is one method to read a decimal number. Now let's see the second method. So in the second method, you can read the whole number part as it is, like the usual way, and it has to be followed by the word and to indicate this decimal point. And the digits beyond the decimal point can be read like a whole number, but it has to be followed by the place value of the last digit. So how can we read this? This can be read as 25 and 175,000. So you can see this here, 25 and 175,000, or you can read it like 25.175. So these are the two ways which we can read a decimal number, and these are the two ways in which you can write the number name of a decimal number. So I hope you are clear with the concept of decimals. Now, where do we use decimal numbers? See, we use decimal numbers a lot. We come across decimal numbers a lot in our day-to-day life. For example, while dealing with money, someone is asking you, what is the cost of your shoes? You may answer them, it is around 530 rupees. So there you are not giving an exact value. You are giving an approximate value. But what if you are telling the exact value? For example, if the price of the shoe was 529.50 or 529 rupees 50 paise, then that gives a more accurate idea of the price, right? So while dealing with money, we use decimal numbers to give the exact value. Now, what about taking measurements? Someone is asking you, what is your height? You may answer, it is around 150 centimeter. See, there you are giving an approximate value. But what if you give them the exact value? It will give them a better idea. So if your actual height is 150.5 centimeter, that will give the other person an exact or accurate idea of the actual height, right? Use decimal numbers to represent accurate measurements. That is, decimal numbers are used to indicate more precise or accurate values, which whole numbers may not be able to provide. So children, I hope the concept of decimals is clear to you. Now you have to do an exercise today. You have to complete the flashback exercise given in page number 96 of your textbook. Now the first question is, each of the 4 compound walls of a park has designs made up of squares. 4 painters started coloring them. Find out what part of the wall each painter was able to finish at the end of the day. Write the answers in fractions. So here, look at the first picture. You may look at your textbook. You can see squares are being divided into equal parts. So in the first box, you can see the first square is divided into 100 equal parts. That is 10 rows and 10 columns, and all the parts are colored, which means the fraction of colored parts or the fraction of painted parts is equal to 100 by 100 or 1 whole. And look at the next square. There are a total of 100 parts, but only 55 squares are painted. So what is the fraction there? It will be 55 out of 100. So when you combine these, how would you write the fraction? That is 1 whole and 55 by 100. So similarly, you have to write the fraction to represent the number of squares painted in each of the other cases. So that's about the first question. Now the second question is, given below are the coins which 4 friends are having in their purse. Arrange the amounts in ascending order. Write the amounts using decimals. Look at the first one. Ravi has got a 5 rupee coin with him, a 25 paise coin with him, and there is also a 50 paise coin. So how would you represent that amount? So when you are representing money using decimal notation, the whole number part will represent the rupee, then the decimal part will represent the paise. So here Ravi has got 5 rupee coin with him. So how do you write it? 5 here, then there should be a point. Then he has got a 25 paise and 50 paise coin with him. So what is 25 paise plus 50 paise? That would be 75 paise. So how would you write it here? We can write like this. So how do you read this? 5 rupee 75 paise, or if you are reading just the decimal number, how to read this? 5.75. So here in this question, you have to find what is the amount each person has got here, and then you have to arrange these numbers in ascending order, or these amounts in ascending order. Keep in mind, while you are adding paise, 100 paise equals 1 rupee. So when you are adding paise, if you are getting 100 paise, it can be added as 1 rupee. So just try to complete these 2 questions. You can write down the answers in the textbook itself. So that's all for today. Once you are done with writing the answers, you can submit your answers in Microsoft Teams. So see you all in the next class. Till then, bye.